Unnatural Selection, Engineering Evolution. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Designer Babies series, reprogramming humanity, one genome at a time. For millions of years, nature evolved slowly, brutally, unforgivingly. Through trial and error, through mutation and adaptation, it sculpted life by selecting those most fit to survive. This process, natural selection, is what gave rise to every living organism on this planet. It wasn't merciful. It wasn't precise, but it worked. Now, we are replacing it. We are entering a phase of human history where evolution is no longer a slow dance of DNA shaped by the environment. It is a deliberate design process, directed by human intention and technology. This isn't evolution by pressure. This is evolution by preference. And that distinction changes everything. In this episode, we'll explore how natural selection is being pushed aside by unnatural selection, a new era where embryos are chosen based on potential, genes are edited by desire, and the randomness of life is being replaced by optimization. Natural selection, the original editor. To understand what we're replacing, we have to first grasp what natural selection actually is. It's simple. Organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and reproduce. The traits that help them thrive get passed on. The traits that didn't, they fade. Natural selection is slow. It favors diversity, resilience, adaptability. It doesn't always create the best, but it creates what works, what survives. Over thousands of generations, it shaped the human body, mind, immune system, instincts, and intuition. But natural selection requires one key element: uncertainty. It needs chaos. It needs variation. It needs mistakes and mutations and suffering. That's how it selects, and that's exactly what we're trying to remove. Unnatural selection, the rise of genetic control. Unnatural selection is what happens when we bypass randomness and intentionally curate biology. With embryo screening, parents can already select embryos based on health, height predictions, IQ estimates, and projected disease risk. With CRISPR and other gene editing tools, we can go further, eliminating weaknesses and enhancing strengths. This is not nature choosing who survives. This is humans choosing who is even allowed to begin. Let's say a couple uses IVF to create 10 embryos. 5 are predicted to be tall, 4 are average height, and 1 is below average. Now add scores for projected intelligence, risk of depression, athletic ability, likelihood of obesity, or predisposition to addiction. What do you think happens? The highest scoring embryo gets chosen. The rest are discarded. They're never implanted. They never exist. That's unnatural selection, not just speeding up evolution, but redirecting it entirely. The math behind selection, polygenic scoring. This system is already in motion. Genetic testing companies now offer polygenic risk scoring, algorithms that evaluate an embryo's likelihood of developing dozens of conditions or traits. These scores are based on large-scale genomic studies of thousands, sometimes millions of people, cross-referenced with traits like educational attainment, schizophrenia risk, diabetes, or even income levels. Parents are told, this embryo has the lowest predicted risk of disease, or this one has the highest estimated IQ. The implication is subtle but powerful. You can choose a better baby. But the science isn't perfect. These scores are based on population averages. They don't account for environment, parenting, trauma, or fate. And yet, they are being used in fertility clinics today to influence life or death decisions, who gets implanted and who doesn't. We have turned reproduction into a statistical selection process, and that has massive implications for the human species. When optimization replaces mystery. Unnatural selection doesn't just remove disease, it removes mystery. The unexpected, the wild card, the child who defies odds, the artist born into a family of accountants, the empath raised by cynics, the dyslexic who becomes a revolutionary thinker, the outlier who becomes the change. When you optimize for what's predictable, you lose the unpredictable. When you select for intelligence, you may lose warmth. When you prioritize performance, you may lose passion. We start building specialists instead of souls. Because genes are not guarantees. They're tendencies, propensities, suggestions. And yet, by trying to curate the perfect child, we risk sterilizing the very thing that makes humans human, the sacred element of surprise. The problem of perfection. Is there a limit? Here's where it gets dangerous. Once society begins selecting embryos based on optimization, a new norm emerges. Perfection becomes expectation. If the technology exists to reduce risk, why wouldn't you use it? If you don't, are you a negligent parent? Will your child be at a disadvantage if others were optimized and they weren't? This creates a slippery slope where genetic enhancement becomes not just optional, but morally pressured. First, you select against disease, then for intelligence, then for height, then emotional regulation, then social agreeability, then attractiveness, then charisma. And what happens when the clinic says, we can reduce your child's risk of being socially awkward by 30%, or increase their likelihood of becoming a CEO? Will you say no? We are turning embryos into products, scored for traits, ranked for value. And that pressure doesn't end at birth. It continues for life. Because when you were chosen for perfection, you are no longer free to be flawed. Evolution by design. What are we becoming? Evolution used to be blind. Now it sees. Now it selects. Now it edits. But what are we selecting for? If we prioritize intelligence over empathy, what kind of society do we build? If we value conformity over creativity, what happens to revolution? If we select out anxiety, do we also remove sensitivity? Some traits come bundled. The gene that makes you more focused may also make you obsessive. The one that gives you high energy may also fuel rage. We don't yet fully understand how traits interact, but we are editing anyway. Because we can. And that's the defining feature of this moment. Our power is outpacing our wisdom. We are evolving, not by what the world demands, but by what our biases desire. And those biases, cultural, racial, aesthetic, are shaping the next generation of humanity. We are editing toward a fantasy, not a future, toward a curated ideal, not a tested one. Loss of diversity, the hidden cost. Every time we select a better embryo, we discard a different one. Every time we edit out a weakness, we lose a mutation that might have one day become a strength. Nature thrives on variation. Resilience comes from diversity. Unnatural selection narrows the gene pool. It standardizes traits. It homogenizes humanity. And in doing so, it may reduce our species' ability to adapt to future threats, whether environmental, viral, or emotional. If everyone is edited to be the same kind of smart, what happens when we face a problem that requires a different kind of mind? If every child is designed to be agreeable and productive, where will the rebels come from? Where will the poets come from? There is a cost to sameness, and we are walking toward it. From biology to ideology. Here's the final twist. Once we start editing embryos for traits, we aren't just shaping biology, we are enforcing ideology. What we choose to enhance reflects what we believe matters. And those beliefs are not universal. They are shaped by culture, class, and politics. One country might prioritize obedience. Another might value competitiveness. One might design for religious conservatism. Another for hyper-independence. The embryo becomes a political canvas, and the gene editing clinic becomes an ideological battleground. And when governments or corporations get involved, as they already are, that power becomes even more dangerous. Because it's no longer just about families. It's about populations. Entire generations shaped by values that may not be their own. We risk building a world of engineered homogeneity, guided not by love or life, but by control. Unnatural selection is not natural evolution. It is human ambition applied to biology. It is our desire to perfect, predict, and possess. And it is not evil, but it is dangerous. We must ask, are we editing for survival or for supremacy? Are we choosing traits for health or for hierarchy? Are we building better humans or removing what makes us beautifully imperfect? Because once you begin to select who is worthy of life, you begin to define who isn't. And in trying to eliminate suffering, we may eliminate depth. In chasing excellence, we may erase wonder. In perfecting the genome, we may destroy the soul. Evolution is changing, but the question isn't just where it's going, it's who's steering, and whether they remember what it means to be human at all. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing, and no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones, the replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans, the merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of SoS Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.